Hello my dear friends, welcome back to the Military Summary channel. Today, we will be discussing the situation in Ukraine as of April 14th, 2023. We have a lot of interesting updates to cover, so let's dive right in. We'll start with the town of Arkhmovsk. The Russian sources map has been updated to show their progress on the northern and western parts of Bakhmut, including progress near the railroad station and movements towards the southern part of the western part of Bakhmut. If we take a look at the deployment map, we can see that it has been updated since yesterday evening. Yesterday, the progress was only in the vicinity of Rose Square, but by this evening, the Russian progress had moved towards the northern part of the western Bakhmut and the vicinity of the railroad station. As we discussed in previous videos, the Russians' main goal and direction is the central part of Bakhmut, which used to be a military base with a lot of barracks and hangars that the Ukrainians were unable to destroy. The Russians will be able to encircle parts of the Ukrainian forces and force them to step back from their positions. This is the perfect direction for a mobile attack and interaction of these barracks. The Russians have also made progress in the northern part of the western Bakhmut, which was under control of the 244th Brigade, but is now located in the vicinity of the exit from this area. We see that a lot of forces are stepping back, and the situation is developing very quickly. This is the worst thing that can happen to the Ukrainians, not the entire collapse of the western part, which will happen sooner or later, but the fact that everything is developing very fast. There are a lot of positions all over Bakhmut, and there may be problems with communication with some groups of Ukrainian forces. If the Russians are able to penetrate some positions, like the railroad station, for example, it will be very difficult for the Ukrainians to evacuate from the area. Currently, Ukrainian forces are located between Chekhovskova Street and the south of the railroad station in a small salient. According to the map, the forces located in the central part of Bakhmut are already encircled and in a small local cauldron. It's unclear whether they will be able to evacuate from this area. The more days pass, the more cauldrons we will see, and some point in time, the first to surrender will be the final page of the story. Moving on to the Western Sources map, we can see that it has not been updated yet. However, the Russians are making progress in the direction of the military base located in the central part of Bakhmut, and they are also pushing towards Chekhovskova Street. Let's shift our attention to the town of Belogorovka on the Serevienko front line. The Russians have activated their movements in this area and have established control over the trenches in the vicinity of the town. They are also pushing from the north and have already reached the Silver Skip Daniels River. There's a high risk for the Ukrainians to be encircled in this area. Regarding the Lemon front line, there are almost no updates, and the Russians have not activated in this area yet. The same cannot be said for Donetsk, where the Russians have published another video of their storming in the direction of Nivolska, using armored vehicles. They are very close to the town, and it's very likely that within the next week or two, they will be able to establish control over it and cut off the supply roads for the area. The Ukraine conflict started in 2014, when protests erupted in Ukraine against the country's government. The situation escalated quickly, with Russia annexing Crimea and supporting separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine. Since then, the conflict has continued, with tens of thousands of people killed, and the situation remains unresolved. The United States has been involved in the conflict from the beginning. In 2014, the U.S. imposed economic sanctions on Russia for its actions in Ukraine. The U.S. has also provided military aid to Ukraine, including weapons and training for Ukrainian soldiers. The U.S. has taken a strong stance against Russia's actions in Ukraine and has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Russia, on the other hand, has been a major player in the conflict from the start. Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 and has been accused of supporting separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine. Russia has denied involvement in the conflict, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Russia has also been critical of the U.S. and the EU's involvement in the conflict, accusing them of meddling in Russia's sphere of influence. The European Union has also been involved in the conflict, with the EU imposing economic sanctions on Russia in response to its actions in Ukraine. The EU has also been involved in peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. The EU has been a strong supporter of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity and has provided aid to Ukraine to help it deal with the conflict. However, in recent years, it has faced significant challenges that have affected its economic growth, political stability, and security. The first challenge that Ukraine faces is political instability. Over the past few years, Ukraine has undergone significant political changes, including the Euromaidan protests in 2014 and the annexation of Crimea by Russia. These events have led to a shift in power dynamics and ongoing political tensions. The second challenge is economic hardship. Ukraine's economy has been struggling, with high inflation rates and a large debt burden. This has led to a decrease in living standards for many Ukrainians and an increase in poverty levels. The third challenge is ongoing security concerns. The conflict in eastern Ukraine between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists has been ongoing since 2014. This has resulted in thousands of deaths and displacement of civilians, as well as ongoing tensions between Ukraine and Russia. Despite these challenges, there are also opportunities for Ukraine's future. Ukraine has a highly educated workforce with a strong tradition of scientific research and development. In addition, Ukraine is rich in natural resources, including fertile farmland, mineral resources, and a strategic location between Europe and Asia. Furthermore, Ukraine has made progress in implementing reforms in areas such as anti-corruption, decentralization, and energy independence. These reforms have been supported by international partners, including the European Union and the United States. The future of Ukraine remains uncertain. The country faces significant challenges, including political instability, economic hardship, and ongoing security concerns. However, there are also opportunities for growth and development. Ukraine has a highly educated workforce and abundant natural resources, and the country has made progress in implementing important reforms. It is up to Ukraine's leaders, citizens, and international partners to work together to address these challenges and seize these opportunities to create a brighter future for Ukraine. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.